Welcome everyone. Today we'll be hearing a presentation from IU about SDG Go to MUN, mainstreaming the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, as a guideline in resolution design. IU is a consultant in the environment who has worked with many institutions such as the Ministry of Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia, ICLI, Local Governments for Sustainability. The interventions she offers shall be in the form of policy recommendations or technological initiatives. Aside from her profession as a consultant, IU has been actively involved in the Sustainable Development Goals, campaigns, and activities. Prior to joining as a field SDG advocate for My World 2030 Asia Pacific Advocates Program, she served as an advocate for Indonesia in the ASEAN My World 2030 program, which is an advocacy program for SDGs in ASEAN region. By the UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub, the UN SDG Action Campaign, and UN Voluntary Asia Pacific. Till today, she has spoken to audiences of over 1,000 people and to over 1,000 audiences on the topics of SDGs through online and offline events. 10 years left before SDGs end in 2030. Unfortunately, many people have never heard about the goals. How do we expect people to contribute to a mission that they're not familiar with? Born as a universal call, the SDGs should be incorporated into extensive resolutions designs such as what occurs in the Model United Nations. The workshop of the SDGs Go to MUN, mainstreaming the Sustainable Development Goals, is a guideline in the resolution design, aims to equip the participants with key strategies on how to incorporate SDGs into a resolution design of MUN, while also supporting them to start their own SDG campaigns from scratch to achieve an exponential transformation that the world has only dreamed of. Ayu, take it away.
Thank you so much, Noah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Indonesia. So thank you so much for MUN Impact for allowing me joining this session to share about the global goals and also, to exchange the information idea about the SDG and also our experience in advocacy for especially. But before we begin, I'd love you to do a little bit exercise about SDG. So for those of you who have attended the session, I would love to express my highest gratitude. Thank you so much for being here. I know for some of you, it might be too early in the morning or it's afternoon. So thank you so much for having your time to attend the session. Okay, I'd love you to go to menti.com and then add code 5908163. Then we're gonna have a little bit exercise about SDG. Let's go there and we're gonna learn together about the SDG, about what the awareness level that we are having individually, and also what expectation that we have as individual in regards to the global goals. Okay. Just go to menti.com and then add the code that I have given to you, and we'll see from this through this polling, do we have a common ground? Do we have a mutual common ground? Do we have the same page? We'd like to know. Okay, ideal 16, 20, 30, 1%. I think we have around 10 people here, participants. Still waiting. 20, 30, 2 people, 16 solutions, ideal 20, 30. Okay. What else? When it comes to SDG, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Like, I hope you're not mentioning the name of SDG once again, or the Sustainable Development Goals, because we know about it, right? So what would be the first word that comes to your mind? Solutions, good. What else? (2030) hope, that's good. Goals, Okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Okay, I think 2 or 3 people more. Solution, goal, future, ideal. Okay. What else? Okay. Should we go forward to next question? Well then. Do you believe that we shall accomplish SDG by 2030? That's the real question, right? Do we have the same belief, or are we being pessimistic? Are we being optimistic? What do you think? Is it yes? Is it no? Not sure? Okay, not sure. 1% say not sure. Absolutely no. Okay, what else? Come on, guys. Have some faith. Not sure. Okay. Any other answers? Finally, 1%. Give me some help. Come on. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay. I'm gonna count down. Come down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. 2%. Should I should I count again? Okay, no. Okay, so I think mostly your answer would be not sure, yes, but really I don't know, right? Okay. So what we're going to talk about today. So once again, I have to share this to you. Thank you so much for participating in the polling. I hope it will give you more insight about SDG and also give a little bit spark about the awareness and also the curiosity from you about the global goals itself. Okay, once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Greetings from Indonesia. Hope this finds you well, happy and excited. Thank you so much for MUN Impact for allowing me joining you today at the Global Summit 2.0 workshop. And I'm so delighted, truly, and humbly honored to present a workshop with the title SDGs Go to MUN, Mainstreaming the Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs as a guideline in the resolution design, presented by myself, Ayu Pratiwi, SDG storyteller. Okay, first of all, let's introduce myself. Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Ayu Pratiwi. Basically, I'm youth leadership enthusiast. So at core, I'm really passionate. I really love involving in youth leadership activities. I really love to work with community, societal work, so on and so forth. So that's why since in junior high school, I have been involving myself in multiple youth leadership activities. And recently, I joined with Rising Star and also YC Regional Workshop, Advocacy and Strategic Communication. And this last year, I became the youth leader of Indonesia, youth ambassador of Goodwill for the SHIP for South Asian and Japanese youth program. That gave me many opportunities to present my country, Indonesia, in Southeast Asia region and also Japan. Okay, that's basically how myself personally, which is I'm a youth leadership enthusiast. But then what is the connection between that with SDG, right? That's the question. Well, how I started my SDG advocacy, it started by my passion in environment. So from 2015 to 2016, I joined Climate Tracker as one of its journalists to publish articles that highlight climate change. From there on to 2016, 2019, I work as a consultant in environment, whose initiative ranging from technology to policy recommendation. And from 2018 till today, I realized that I found a new purpose in my life, which is SDG, by marrying my passion in environment with my vocation, which is in youth leadership. So I found that, okay, I think I can expand my vocation in youth leadership, not necessarily in community development activities solely, but now I can expand it to my passion in environment by having my path created in SDG. And yeah, maybe some of you would be a little bit curious because I prefer to call myself as SDG storyteller than SDG advocate because, well, basically my profession indeed SDG advocate, but I prefer to be called an SDG storyteller because I feel like we love storytelling, right? We love sharing stories. And I feel like most SDG advocacy activities use scholarly terms, expansive terms that most people are not familiar with. And how can we expect people to contribute to an agenda that they're not familiar with, right? That's why I'm trying to tap into this gap by sharing stories about SDG by mainstreaming it as into stories that people will feel more friendly with, will be feel more comfortable with, but by hearing the story of SDG rather than expensive terms and scholarly terms that they might feel is too much or too overwhelmed if they hear it from the first time. So what we're going to talk about today, before, after, uh, what I have been sharing to you before, the agenda would be, the first one would be SDG 101, description and significance, how we have to define SDG and what is the significance of SDG compared to other agenda. And then what is the connection between youth and SDG? And then, of course, for the core topic for today, which is SDG go to MUN, and then the resource and tool to start your campaign. Basically, it is a strategy, the resources that you can apply to your daily basis to start your own campaign from the beginning. Let's talk about the history of SDG itself. So 3 years before MDGs end in 2012, so before we have SDG, we have an agenda which is called as MDG, Millennium Development Goals. It was an eight goals that were considered as an urgency 2000 from 2000 to 2015, and they became the global goals on that time period. But having 3 years left before MDGs end, the world leaders gathered at a UN summit to talk about like, hey, MDG will end in 2015. What we are going to do after this end? Is it going to be really end at all, or should we do something else? For example, expanding this MDG to something else, and then seeing the weakness, the mistake, the error, and the means point of MDG itself, which is, I'm going to explain it later. Finally, the world leaders agreed that they have to expand MDG into something else that should be more comprehensive, more inclusive, more expanding, involving all people, all individuals, all communities on the same level, on the same common ground to establish we call today as a global agenda, as a universal call that gather everyone as global citizen, because we're living on the same planet, right? And that's the aim, the major purpose of the world is at the time. So voila, we got the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, which is the 17 global goals that were born on 2015 and would end on 2030. So SDG, also known as the Global Goals, brought as universal call to end the world's poverty, to combat the climate change issue, and to tackle any disparities that obstruct people's well-being. But what is significant of SDG? Why SDG is so, having that so much euphoria compared to MDG or other global agenda? As I mentioned before, the SDG is the continuation of MDGs, right? But it has some significance. For example, it is controlled on community-driven, meaning local action plan is really an urgency here. And from that on, drawing from that, inclusive movement becomes more important here, meaning it's involving everyone, everybody together around as a global citizen to tackle global issues, but translated into local action plan that should be online, on target, on point in regards to the local urgency and necessity in that area. And then having said that, it will be translated as a comprehensive action plan, which is meeting with the local urgency, local necessity, local needs that should be applicable and also feasible to be implemented. That is the significance of SDG. And as other agenda, we also have role. For example, like MUN, you have decorum, right? And SDG, we also have some sort of role. So SDG basically is like a soft law. It's not necessarily like strictly binding you that if you're not implementing SDG, you're gonna enter jail. You're gonna have to pay this penalty fee, so on and so forth. No, but it's more like soft law that allow people to be more self-accountable, to have more responsibility, to have more self-awareness, to take action, to take more solid action to involve in global agenda. And having said that, SDG have its role on how you use on how you use the logo, on how you share the message of the global goals. So it should be in line from every country, from every individual that if you use this, it is SDG. It is the global agenda campaign activities. For example, if you wish to have your logo pairing with the SDG, which is you are coming from non-UN entities, you can do that by having your logo and SDG side by side, as shown on the slide on the right side. And also, if you wish to have the SDG logo on vertical version or horizontal, you also can do that. So you can have this guideline on un.org. Everything is up there. Just you can even Google it and you can find how to use this logo and how to incorporate that logo, SDG logo, in your campaign activities. As I said before that, what causes the effort of SDG? Well, for the first time, the world comes together as one and has a comprehensive plan to combat issues of people, planet, and prosperity. I mean, you also have that experience, right? Gather around from multiple countries in one table to talk about one issue. And it's really tricky situation because even if we talk about one issue, it takes time, right? And can you imagine that for years, for decades, that finally, all our world leaders can sit together and agree on one thing. Not only one thing, actually, 17 goals. We finally agree on 17 goals, and it was born as SDG. That's why with this event, it's so overwhelming. Happy it was really one of the biggest achievement that we have achieved in this era, and that's why it creates the euphoria of SDGs, because finally we agree on not only one thing but 17 goals agreed by the world leaders, which is comprised of many countries, right? And not only that, SDG also consists of 17 goals, more than 100 target, 169 target, more than 200 indicators, and also it has 5 pillars, which are 5 people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership, and also it aims for initiatives that are environmentally non-degrading, economically viable, and socially acceptable, meaning it is really comprehensive, involving all livelihood sectors and engage all people that live on the planet, which is all of us, right? That's why the actors are all of us, but it is led by UNDP that is available in 170 countries and territories. So how we progress? So far before pandemic, SDG show a promising progress in some goals. While we have so many homework to some goal, but also we have some accomplishment in some goal. For example, in poverty and also in quality education. But during the pandemic, it's either canceling or resetting our situation, our accomplishment, our achievement to where we were, or it worsened the achievement that we are having right now. So it's either 0 or minus. So how we have to tackle it, what we're going to do, how we are going to soar from the pandemic, right? So this is your turn, this is our turn, this is all of us turn to really contribute, not only as a citizen from Indonesia, from the Philippines, from United States, so on and so forth, but it's really about contributing as a global citizen, which is because we're living on the same planet, and we are called as an active global citizen if we contribute to the global agenda, which is SDG. So why we have to connect youth and SDG? Well, first of all, let's define youth in accordance to UN definition, which is youth defined as a group of society with age between 15 to 24 years old. And why it is so important in SDG? Because 42% of the world's population are under 25 years old. And youth is really important in the global goals because they are the bridging agent of society between today's and the future generation, meaning whatever will happen in the future in 2030, youth will be the first eyewitness to see is it going to be a failure or success. And also, SDG reflect the genuine dream of youth to see the world as a better place to live. Because many of us, many of young persons especially, see SDG only like empty word, only like pipe dream, especially when we saw the result of polling. Some of you say that you don't believe about SDG, that is really impossible to see it as a success, so on and so forth. Well, I can understand why, because I also have those experience when I'm trying to advocate SDG, but it's not necessarily that we have that some pessimistic or naysaying uh, attitude, because um, really SDG is about a milestone, a key milestone for us, especially during this pandemic. It really shows the fragility that already there. It shows the fragility, and also that radical transformation is really possible to do. That's why having this global agenda is become more urgent than ever to us to, and also it invites us to be more active in contributing to the global agenda. And having said that, meaning we have to change, right? We have to do some changes in our life. And what is the difference between change and transformation? Well, many people see change separately from life, meaning life itself, change is life. And seeing that change is considered as a um, out of life, meaning that it is negativity, it can be avoided. But the truth is, life is change. So normalizing change as a new standard, what does not change is the change itself. So life is really change. It's not like change itself, life itself. No, no, no. So how we can shift this change into a transformation? So transformation, meaning we can be a better version of ourselves. So when we have change in our life, do not be reactive, but respond to it with appropriate behavior to result a transformation in our life. So maybe some of you have heard about story about carrot, egg, and coffee, that which they are being put in boiling water. So carrot, at first it is solid, it is hard, but then it gets soft. And then egg, before it's soft, and then it gets hardened after it is being put in the boiling water. And coffee, on the other hand, it changed the color of the water, right? So meaning that whatever change you are having right now, for example, you have losses right now, you fail in in some area of your life, respond to it as a way to gain insight, like what I have to do, what I have to change in my life that will change the result of what I'm doing right now, for example. So that will result a transformation in your life. So seeing a change as a way of a breakthrough rather than a breakdown. And this is the core topic of our today's discussion, which is SDG Go to MUN. So in resolution design, what you have to do when you are drafting resolution design in regards to SDG. Well, first of all, be more specific, focus on one goal, delve into it, do the data mining analysis, do partnership with multiple organizations in your area, in your country, and then work on 1 up to 3 targets from there, and then locally execute to meet the global agenda. Contact the coordinator of SDG in your country, and also do collaboration with local communities and stakeholders to execute your initiative, because you might be doing faster if you're alone, but you might do larger and more impact if you are doing together with other communities or stakeholders. For example, if you choose SDG number 4, which is ensuring inclusive and equitably quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, which is topic education. And the community would be social, humanitarian, and cultural, and country, for example, A, B, and C. From there on, you pick the target, because each goal has many targets, different targets. So for example, like education, it has around 4 or 5 targets. And then from there on, you pick this target, and then you pick that by 2030, ensuring that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education. And then you establish appropriate indicators from that you wish that From that target, it would be able to achieve at least a minimum proficiency level in reading and mathematics. And you see that, okay, what is the gap that we are having right now compared to where we are going to achieve, right? In 2030, for example. So by 2019, there are 30% of girls and boys who do not complete their primary and 40% for secondary education. So you have this data, for example, from your local government or from the national government or NGO that is working in primary education in your country, and then you get more data that the causes of this issue are they have to work on field by daylight to support their families, and then they also live in remote areas which is not so accessible with the main education building, maybe in the city, and then also maybe they have forced early marriage situation in that area. And then what is the call to action? From that current status, you learn that, okay, this is the capacity, the situation that you are having right now. So what you are going to do to tackle this situation in regards to your capacity and regards to your capabilities, right? And then you decide that maybe I'm promoting school after work, maybe in the evening or in the afternoon after they work. Maybe you open a free library, maybe you're open a free tutoring agency, so on and so forth. Or maybe you're having floating schools or expanding the purpose of public spaces for school to tackle infrastructure gap, or because of the area that you're trying to working on are so far away from the city, which is having the main uh, building, the main school buildings, or maybe you are trying to educate the parents that about the forced early marriage, that it is really it's really having negative impact both on boys and also the girls. And from there on, you decide maybe these are the three calls to action that you are going to do, and you're gonna learn, you're gonna find trying to have the priorities of resources that you are going to have. We are going to looking for example, for sure funding and maybe the capacity building for the community, because you want to make sure that it's sustainable. So by at the end of the day, when you leave this project on that area, they're gonna be able and independent to handle the project uh, for for the next generation that come, right? And also you're going to look for the partners that will be able to help you, to support you, maybe from local government, from grant agencies, so on and so forth. So this is the example that you can apply, but I believe that MUN Impact has having a toolkit that's going to help you, because I also see from that from the MUN Impact that they're having a really comprehensive and complete toolkit that you can use right away. So these are the capacity building training that you can access, that you can have, mostly free, but you can check them out one by one, and this is really useful link that you can use. Or maybe you can go to SDG Academy. They are free, but if you wish to have certificate, you can pay around 50 US dollar, and it's really good to add to your portfolio. If you are looking for opportunities as individual organization to win business pitching, or you wish to collaborate with this huge organization, you can go to this link, Youth SDG Entrepreneur Opportunities. Or if you wish to elaborate your partnership in SDG, you can go to UNSDSN or with sustainabledevelopment.un.org, where you can check each goal and what's the current status and what they're looking for right now in order to expand or to make their accomplishment right now, to this accomplishment to be more effective and efficient. And if you wish to see how is the world's achievement in regards to the global goals, you can go to SDG Tracker and you can check each goal and the definition of each goal, and also how is the current status, and you can have the data either in PNG, in pictures, in Excel, so on and so forth. So basically you just can Google it, you can have everything you need out there, but now it's more about how you can incorporate SDG resource, which is mostly free for all, how you can incorporate that into your personal goal, into your personal or local action plan. This is SDG Action Word. This is like a huge celebration of all SDG advocates. We are all gathering here every year. And then I'm also working as one of UL ambassadors. So if you wish to be looking for support in terms of funding or engagement in SDG initiative, don't hesitate to contact me. We are more than happy to support you. So this is basically a movement created in a global movement where we are trying to connect individuals or organizations that work on SDG. Either you are looking for funding, you're looking for engagement, partnership, so on and so forth. We are more than happy to help you. So don't hesitate to contact me. Well, that brings to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your participation, and let me give it a little bit a brief closing statement before we go to Q&A session, which is development means nothing if it is not sustainable, right? And we're an active global citizen if we actively contribute to the global agenda, which is SDG. And as an advocate, we're not being the voice for the voiceless. Rather, we are empowering others to sing their voice and dance their initiative to get involved in concerted efforts to achieve the global goals, since all voices matter. Thank you so much, SDG for all and all for SDG.
Thank you, Ayu. We'll now go into a Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we can go through them. So if you have any questions for Ayu again, you can also look through her website actually in the link below if you have questions about that or about the presentation. Thank you very much, Ayu. It was a great presentation.
And my pleasure.
Please, it's a great opportunity now to ask any questions. So one question we have is from Ariana from Canada. Would you say that touching on a few targets of the SDG in a resolution is all right instead of just one?
Okay, thank you, Ariana. It's a really good question. I think SDG is, like I said before, SDG is for all and all for SDG, meaning that SDG is indeed a global agenda, but it's also really highlighting an inclusive approach where you could incorporate SDG as a global agenda into your personal goal, into your local action plan, meaning that from all those 169 targets, from all those 17 goals, you can choose one or two or even more to be as your guidelines to carry out your personal goal. For example, like if you wish to have if you have passion in education and you wish to have a tutoring agency, for example, in education, and you see that, okay, because I have this passion, I can meet my passion with the global goal in education, right? In quality education. From that, having said that, you can marry your personal goal with the global agenda, the global goals, and from there on, you can expand. Maybe you can expand. Maybe you can having inspiration from SDG, like what is education initiative that we are having right now in regards to SDG, and maybe you can contact the SDG coordinator in your country, for example, UNDP or the local organization. So basically, there are no wrong or right or really like the perfect way on how to implement SDG. What most important is that what matters is that let's just do it. Let's just contribute as much as we can in global agenda, because we're only having like 10 years left. And I think it's more about more action rather than more contemplation, because we cannot wait another pandemic to as another wake up call for us that really become wake up call for us, and then we're gonna do something, right? So I think it's really like a right time for all of us just to take action, more action, rather than contemplation, like which target or which goal that I have to do or I have to contribute. So just do it, whatever that feels right to you in regards to SDG, and whatever goal that is meeting to your personal goal. I have that answer. Thank you. Okay, second question. If you could add your own SDG, what would that be? I'm more on goal 17, which is establishing partnership, because basically, because personally, I'm a person more on connecting the dots. So I'm more on being generalist person rather than a specialist, meaning that I love to connecting the dots. I love connecting people. I love connecting the goals, connecting contacts, partnerships, so on and so forth. That's basically my nature. Having said that, that's why I'm trying to match my personality, my personal goal with SDG, which is the goal 17. Because we see that SDG is really like everyday goal, everyday activity. And if you see more on SDG from goal 1 to goal 17, it's really like all the things that we have always dreamed of, right? It's not like new thing, like it's not like sudden thing that just pop up in 2015. It's really like every dreams, every hope and wishes that we have been dreaming of to be seen, to see the world as a better place. So for myself, I chose goal 17 because it really meets my personality and also my personal goal. I hope that answer your question. Thank you.
So another question, if you could add your own SDG, what would that be?
Oh, yeah, I think I just answered that question. I just answered that question. I would answer goal 17. So yeah, like I said before, because it meets my personality and also my personal goal. Hope that answer. Thank you. Thank you, Noah.
I mean, I'm personally interested. What got you really interested in the SDGs in the first place, or what sparked your interest in the subject?
Okay. Like I shared before that I found new purpose here in SDG because as as I told you before that I have passion in environment and I have vocation in youth leadership. And I see SDGs really about leadership, about youth, about creating initiative, about call to action. So it's about mobilizing communities. It really meets with my personality, with what I've been doing since I was in junior high school. So having said that, it really sparked my curiosity to expand my passion in environment, not only working on a laboratory, on lab work, on research, on studies, on data analysis and data mining. And I would love to work to expand my work, not only in lab work, on laptoping, but more on how I can engage communities in greater good, greater purpose, rather than only study, lab, so on and so forth. That's why that really hit me hard in 2000. And I think I joined SDG back in 2016, so it's been 2 years. And from that on, I really found like, I think this is a good, uh, another journey, from a new journey for me to expand my work in environment into something bigger, hopefully, and a larger, a greater good, because it involves not only environment but also economy, people, planet prosperity, so on and so forth. So it's really about genuine dream that also become my full my motivation to create more um, contribution to the community. I hope that answer. The hardest SDG to reach. Well, I would say it will be gender equality because so far SDG progress, in regards SDG progress, we have dropped extreme poverty up to 10% of the world population between 1995 and 2015. So it would be SDG 1. And also we have declined child deaths by nearly 50% from 2000 and 2017. And also nearly 9 in 10 people now have access to electricity. So that would be SDG number 7. The proportion of people living now in urban slum have been halved, declining from 40-60% to 20-30% from 1996 to 2016. And since 2010, the man protected area globally more than double. So this is the positive result that we have seen from SDG so far. But also we still have more work to do, because sadly, unfortunately, no country is on track to achieve gender equality by 2030. So this is really the major work that we should be doing. And the the silver line of the bright side of pandemic is that it really opened up the crack, the fragility that the society is having right now, for example, like climate justice, gender inequality that we're having for so long, for years, for decades, and it really keeps people really become a wake-up call for all of us, especially in gender equality, because we've seen that by having this pandemic, women become a part, become a group of society that have more burden, more work in regards to the pandemic impact, right? And also on in 1 in 9 people globally is undernourished, SDG number 2, and also more than 15% of children and adolescents are not meeting minimum standard in reading and math. So it is still in education, quality education. And also 3 billion people do not have washing and hygiene facilities. So it's really also meeting with the pandemic situation right now, especially in Indonesia. We now realize that we're still having many people, so many people that have no access to hygiene, proper hygiene, and also sanitary that we should be having, that they expect to have. And from this pandemic, really, it gave us, how to say, enlightening moment that to see this crack, this fragility in a more clear way. And having said that, hopefully we are really able to solve from the pandemic as soon as possible and having SDG as our guideline. I hope that answers your question.
So another question, do you really believe that we would be able, what would be your opinion, in your opinion, the hardest SDG to reach, or would 17 be the hardest part?
Yeah, I think like I said before, it would be gender equality because um, till right now, till this moment, no country is on track to achieve gender equality by 2030. So it's really like a major homework that every country is having right now. Especially this pandemic really became a wake-up call for all of us to see the crack and fragility that we have seen for so long, for years, for decades, that about feminism movement, so on and so forth. And yeah, that will be the hardest because we're really not on the position or situation that we are expected to be in regards to gender equality. So that's really a major homework for all of us. I hope that answered your question.
So another question from Alice: what do you think the international community needs to make sure that no one's left behind?
Good question. I think they do not only have to make sure that no one is left behind, but also make sure that really do things that really ensuring that everyone is involved in every activities that has badge of being global citizens. So why I'm so into it, why I'm so into SDG advocacy, because I would love to raise awareness about SDG, that it is not necessarily an agenda for some specific group, especially for white collar or scholar group. So it's really our agenda because especially as a result of pandemic, we've seen that the crack and fragility that the society is already having, right? And having said that, we see that it's really not only an agenda, but it's really an urgency. And thank God that this pandemic really became wake up to all of us and become really push all the world leaders to see global agenda more seriously, to faster the progress, to really promote more efficient, effective initiative to really accelerate the achievement of global agenda. And the international community is really all of us. It's not necessarily about UN only or about the grand agencies, so on and so forth. But international community is really global citizen, meaning all of us. So what do you think that we have to do to make sure no one is left behind? The answer would be we have to jump in. We have to take responsibility by ourselves. We have to contribute as individuals for the simplest way, for the beginning, the start of our initiative. Just try to contribute as much as we can in any initiative in regards to global agenda. For example, like myself, back in 2016, I really had no experience whatsoever in advocacy and strategic communication. But then I have this passion. I saw that SDG is really important and really meeting with my personal goal. That's why I just jump in. I just joined any small, even small activities in regards to SDG, I just join and try to the best of my capability to contribute to the movement. And then I had the chance, I had the opportunity to join my World 2030 Advocacy program. And from then on, it got escalated, it got expanded, and till today, now I become SDG advocate. So I think what we should do is that start from ourselves, start from an idea, and it's gonna be escalated into grand design, into a movement, and then into become an initiative and or become a policy recommendation. So start from ourselves and then let the goal itself be replicated, because of people will see that it's really important, it's really an urgency, it's really what matters to all of us. I hope that answered that question.
So another question, this time from Naduni. Some people say that women's rights are unfair because women should also ask for human rights instead of women's rights. So what is your idea about it and its relation to SDG 5?
Okay, so I think it's similar to what we're having right now, like Black Lives Matter. Why people call so loudly about Black Lives Matter is that instead of everyone lives matter, right? Because for so long, people did not recognize about this situation for so long. So that's why we want to make this voice being heard more often. That's why we say this Black Lives Matter. And in regards to women rights, why we are trying to say it's only women rights instead of human rights, because for so long people hear about it, but they just, for most people, they ignore and say that, yeah, for many reasons, political reasons, so on and so forth. They just try to cut it and saying, for example, like, why are you only talking about women because you're a woman? No, it's not like that. It's because for so long we have screamed over women rights. We are being underpaid, even though we are having the same capacity, so on and so forth. And because of that's what happening so long, for decades, for years. That's why we call women rights instead of human rights, or for example, like I say, BLM, and also All Lives Matter. And so it's not about being selfish, so or being unequal in promoting an issue, but it's because we are so tired, so how to say, so overwhelmed, we almost like hopeless, because nobody's seen it as an important issue. So for example, like if you have a part of your body like being sick, right? For example, like your thumb, you're not saying that my whole body is in pain, right? But you're saying to the doctor, my thumb is sick, is in pain, right? You're not saying that my whole body is in pain, because, and this is what happened right now, because everyone only saying that everyone is sick, everyone is in pain, but really, is it everyone? I think if we want to talk about, if we want to discuss in more fair way, it's really like certain group, for example, marginalized group, and women and children are also included in that group, that are having the more burden compared to other groups because of what is happening in society, like gender equality, so on and so forth. And that's why we are screaming this movement, saying that women's rights, BLM, so on and so forth, because for so long, nobody want to hear, everybody can hear, but most people wouldn't want to hear it because maybe political reasons, so on and so forth. That's what I'm trying to say. Hope that answered your question.
So just as a reminder, for everyone attending the summit, please make sure to fill out this form with some feedback about the summit. And please, again, we have quite a few minutes left, so feel free to continue adding some questions. And if not, then we can end it early. And thank you again, Ayu. This was a great presentation. Thank you. Like, I think I really enjoyed it, especially the Q&A session. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much, and everyone. My apologies for all shortcomings and mistakes, so on and so forth. I hope we can further acquaintances outside of this session, because yeah, every voice matters, and I'm really more than happy to support your initiative, SDG. Thank you so much.